All right, guys, welcome back to the Medium Cool Show. It is a new year and time to talk about some more films. We don't necessarily talk about a lot of new movies on this show, which is kind of like, I think, something that makes us unique. We
Yeah,
talk about a lot of old movies, and I actually really like that. We don't really talk about like too many like new or like mainstream movies. And I feel like in the beginning, we talked about more movies we saw recently, but now we've kind of gotten more talking about older films or more like niche or art house films.
hmm yeah. I mean, we both just gravitate towards that more.
Yeah, I
We're
like
more
I
like,
like that more. I prefer to see
yeah,
that. I like those movies more anyway, but
yeah. And there's so many movies out there. There's like so many amazing movies
yeah.
like you can see that we're just going through all the movies that we've heard of that we want to see and we want to talk about. And also, that's just like kind of like our identity of this show too. It's like it's the medium cool.
Yeah.
You
It's a
know,
medium cool
it's
show.
like things that people don't talk about enough that we want to share with people that we think is like very interesting and very like thought provoking. I think we do a good job at that. But that's not to discount like new movies, you know
No,
what I
no.
mean? Like definitely we are very excited when new movies come out and we like really want to be like part of like, new Christopher Nolan movies coming out, like Barbie came out or like, The Holdovers or something. And
But today, both of us are going to be giving our top five best movies of 2023. All right, so what's your number five movie of 2023?
oh fuck. You start first.
Number five, I have The Killer, starring Michael Fassbender, directed by the one and only David Fincher. And I actually saw this movie in theaters. Like everyone else, a lot of people saw it on Netflix when it came out, but I actually saw it in theaters, limited release, here in Los Angeles. I was lucky enough to go see it
Hmm.
on Halloween, nevertheless. Everyone else was going out and partying, being hoes on Halloween. And I would have liked to have done that, but I went to go see The Killer, and I wasn't disappointed. I fuck with this movie. It's just very like cut and dry, like sort of like assassin movie. Is it perfect? No, but I thought it was pretty dope. Yeah, that's my number five pick. What's your
Yeah.
number five?
My number five pick is Bose Afraid.
Oh yeah, that
I
was a good one.
I think that's a little overlooked this year. I
That's a
can
good one.
see why a lot of people would have problems with it, but the world that Ari Aster was able to create and just the fever dream of anxiety that he's able to like induce on the audience is something that I didn't expect that I would like, but I loved,
Yeah,
And it's so creative. The set design is amazing,
mm,
and I just love like that experience I had, like going and seeing it in the theater. Like, we talked about a lot of these movies that are our favorite are like kind of shaped by our experience seeing it,
yeah,
And so when I went and saw that, I saw it by myself, It was like, I think the last showing of the night, took myself to the theater and like saw it, And there's something that was like very like special about that. And I
yeah,
really enjoyed.
yeah. I actually really liked Bose Afraid as well. I saw it in IMAX. Like I was like one of the first people to see it. I think because when I logged it on Letterboxd, there was only like a few, like maybe like a few hundred people who had seen it. So I felt like that was really cool. And we talk about it on the channel if you want to go search for the video. We actually talk. It's like one of our first on movies we talked about on this channel. But yeah, my number four. I didn't see it in theaters. It was released on Netflix, but that film was May December, by directed by Todd Haynes, starring Natalie Portman and Julianne Moore. And this was a surprise for me, and I think this is probably the best Todd Haynes movie that I've ever seen.
Yeah.
I think it's better than Carol. I think it's better than Safe, and it's a great movie. I think it was very like I was thinking about it a lot afterwards. Like I remember I watched that movie and then I watched another movie later that night, and when I was watching that other movie, I was thinking about May December, and I was like
Yeah.
going through my head like, wait, what the fuck?
Yeah.
What the fuck? It's like kind of subversive. It
Yeah.
makes you think about different things and like the character. It's just like a really interesting film, and I highly recommend it if you haven't seen it. It's a creepy kind of movie. It's I don't know. It's just a really interesting,
Hmm.
you know, perspective and different type of film.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
that's my number four, May December.
My number four is this movie called Fallen Leaves by Finland.
Okay,
And you haven't, I don't think you've seen it yet, but
I've never heard of it.
it's it is really sweet. It has like the same, Scandinavian like kind of like dry humor
Mm,
and mixed with like the look of like something like Roy Anderson with like the framework of everything. It looks really cool. It's this like sweet little story, and it's just like a really fun movie that I think like kind of went under the radar this year because it's like an international film. But I think you would really enjoy it if you check it out. I really love how it looks like so grainy too. Like
mm.
it looks like it's shot in the 70s, like you're talking about the holdovers and stuff. And Fallen Leaves just like looks amazing. Like if I show you a still of this, you're gonna be like, "Fuck, I gotta see this movie."
Mm,
And it's like it's basically like it reminds me a lot of Color White too, where it's kind of like an anti-romance
mm.
movie where they're always trying to get together,
Three
but then
Colors White.
yeah, Three Colors White, yeah. And how they're always trying to get together, these two main characters, and they're just like kind of living these like very blue collar lives, and it never works out. There's always something that like fucking comes up or some shit, you know? It's really good. You should check it out. I think you
Nice.
like the humor.
Yeah, I never even heard of it,
Yeah.
but that sounds dope. I'll definitely check it out. So my number three pick is Ferrari, directed by Michael Mann, starring the one and only Adam Driver as Enzo Ferrari. I will say this film, it's not perfect. It has its flaws, but I just fuck with this movie, and I felt like it was really a return to form for Michael Mann and just like his like his like character about a guy who's like really good at his job, but he's not a good guy. But that doesn't mean that he can't be successful. And it's just like that. Like I just felt like it was a really cool return to form for Michael Mann, and I think it's his best film since Collateral, in my opinion.
Wow. That's that's good. That's high praise.
Yeah, it's high praise, but
Yeah.
like it's also not saying too much. I feel like because I feel like his movies since Collateral haven't been that good
Yeah,
either. But
yeah.
like,
But
what is the best one? Like Public Enemy. I mean,
no, I
people like
mean,
Miami Vice, but like really, it's not. Like Ferrari, I fuck with Ferrari, and I feel like that also has to do with me in the place that I was in and who I was with going. Like I saw this movie in Italy, in Rome, and it was a very special time. And it's kind of more like about where I saw it, and then that feeling I got from like this 2023 movie about this guy that's kind of like doesn't really have that. Just like what it was about, but we can talk about it more later. But yeah, that's my number three, Ferrari 2023.
yeah. I have a couple of honorable mentions, but I think my number three would be Poor Things, probably.
Oh, I haven't seen it.
I really liked it. It's really cool. Like you can just totally tell from like, I mean, you've seen Yorgos Lanthimos movies. Like you know how out there he can get with certain concepts,
For real.
and it's like I feel like more grounded than most of his concepts.
Mm-hmm.
But it's the whole world he builds around this thing, like the amazing set pieces, the way he's able to like kind of craft this like collage background
Mm.
is really good. The acting's really good. I like the story of like I love Emma Stone. She's like my favorite actor. I love
Emma
Willem
Stone.
Dafoe, dude. Like,
Yeah.
oh my god, like having them in both in the same movie is like that's like amazing to me. Mark
Yeah.
Ruffalo is stand out in this too. Like I've never seen him play a character like this where he's like so smarmy and like funny in it.
Mm-hmm.
And it is very much like a very it's a personal like discovery movie, you know? Like
Yeah.
she's like discovering and growing up and like this kind of like I don't want to get too in it, but basically I love this movie so
Yeah.
much. You should watch this.
No, I've been I want to watch. I just haven't had a chance to see in like just like limited release right now. But once probably when the Oscars more come around, they'll probably release more wide in theaters, and I'll
Yeah.
see it then.
Yeah.
It's getting a lot of buzz. I heard it's really good, and I want to see it. Yeah. So my number two is The Holdovers, written and directed by Alexander Payne. Well, it's based on a book, I'm pretty sure, but it's a great movie, and it's really funny and sad and wholesome, and I just feel like this and the vibe of it is like an early '70s like New Hollywood Hal Ashby movie, and it doesn't feel like a lot of movies nowadays when they make a period piece, it's shot like digitally
Mm-hmm.
and it looks like it's not from the time, but this movie like looks like it's shot on like 35 millimeter, and it looks like that film grain looks amazing for this movie. It's just like a great movie, one of Alexander Payne's best, if not his best movie he ever made, bro.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And it's like the king is back. It's a return to form. Paul Giamatti, oh my god, dude, he might have to. He's up there for the Oscar. Like
Yeah.
top performances of the year. So good. He's so fucking good in this movie. That's might be Paul Giamatti's best performance, and I think it has to be. And
Yeah.
he definitely deserves the credit for his performance. I just love him. He's like a all the characters in this are not good people, but they're like really interesting characters and they're flawed, but they have value and they have like they're really interesting and they're just so multi-dimensional and the story is great too and I just great film. Standout of the year. Number 2 pick. It's up there. Could easily be number 1 too, but I just have something up there. But it could easily be number 1 too, but I have another movie.
That's the last movie that I really need to see from last year.
Yeah.
It's just totally, for some reason, gone under my radar. Even though I've known people have told me to watch it. Yeah, I have to see it. Like I have really high expectations for it.
Yeah, and when I went to go see it, I didn't read any reviews. I don't know anything about it, and none of my friends had seen it. And I was kind of like, okay, I'm just going in blind. Damn, that was actually really good. And maybe I'm just feel like it's really good. Maybe people are not gonna like this movie, but everyone like fucking loves this movie.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw it twice in theaters, which
Mm-hmm.
means something,
Mm-hmm.
you know. And the only other movie that I saw more than once is my number 1 pick. But please tell me your number 2.
I think my number 2 pick this year is May December.
Damn,
I
yeah,
love May December. It could have been my number 1 for sure.
yeah,
But I love the questions it poses, the way the characters are like given so much room to like the actors are given so much room to work with these characters, and it just makes you feel so uncomfortable, and it poses so many like ideas that you want to tackle that I just think is like that's what like a phenomenal film does. It doesn't answer it for you.
yeah.
You know, you're just left with these like questions, and I love the concept of seeking truth. You know, like how do you seek truth? How will you really ever know what happened in this story? Is it right? Is it wrong? Is it for us to judge? Is it for us to like probe into this story?
Mm-hmm.
And as an audience, we are kind of like invited into that sphere of discourse as we're watching it.
Mm-hmm.
The thing that they're going through of like kind of infiltrating this like very controversial topic,
Mm-hmm.
and Natalie Portman's character like diving deeper and deeper into that, and the deeper she gets, the more despicable she gets to us. But then we're also complacent while we're watching it,
Mm-hmm.
of like judging these people and not really like seeing it from a framework that's like objective, or will we ever be able to, you know? And so things like that like have really, like you said, like after you watched it you were just thinking about it so much.
Yeah.
And I just love this movie, and plus it looks really good. Like the just like out of focus kind of blurriness that's around the edges, like all the close-ups of like really like nice flowers or butterflies or whatnot. Like I don't know, I just love it, and I love the idea that like all the characters are kind of like at fault except for this one guy who like also, is he really a victim? Is he not? Because it's like it's not fair to put him in the victim category, to like just see him as a victim and not see him as like who he is as a person, you
Mm-hmm.
know? And I love that too.
Yeah. So should we both say our number 1 pick?
Yeah.
3, 2, 1. Oppenheimer.
So, zone of interest.
Zone of Interest number 1.
Yeah.
You don't have Oppenheimer in your top 5?
No, I don't.
Wow.
Listen, I really enjoyed Barbie and I really enjoyed Oppenheimer. I had an amazing time seeing both of them. And they're definitely like up there, but this is like my personal list.
Yeah.
You know, this isn't a list of like objectively what's the best film of the year, because I think they're both fucking amazing movies. There's so many other movies like Past Lives I would put on like up there. Fucking I think Ferrari, like Napoleon, I think they're really good. But yeah, it just Zone of Interest for me was like a movie that also I really
That's your number
resonated.
1?
Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
Damn, I haven't seen it yet, but I want to. Yeah, my number 1 is Oppenheimer because it's just like a really sick, dope movie. Like everything that's put up on screen, like the brevity yet the scale of the picture is really impressive, and a very timely issue that's a very real issue that affects everyone. And for someone who's like a blockbuster filmmaker like Christopher Nolan to make a movie like this historical sort of epic story of like moving back and forth in time, in the timeline, but also like making a real statement about something that's like an actual thing rather than just like a like some like sci-fi movie, like just like a fun sci-fi movie. It's like a real thing. And yeah, Oppenheimer, it was dope as fuck. And
It's a great movie, dude. It's a phenomenal movie. I think Christopher Nolan will probably win Best Director for it.
yeah.
But for me, Zone of Interest was my favorite movie this year. It's a movie that has been on my radar forever, dude. I was like trying to watch it, and it just now got a theatrical release in the US on the 7th. So now, like, it's finally like more accessible.
Mm,
But I've been trying to see this movie forever. And when I finally saw it, like, it was just as experimental as I wanted it to be. The concept of it is like they're this family that have this luxurious lifestyle, but they live like right outside the walls of Auschwitz, and he basically runs Auschwitz, and it's a very very hard subject to deal with, like so much tragedy in the Holocaust, and just like basic like fucking fucked upness of it all is seen in like such a unique lens of like we're seeing this family like luxurious life, and you hear all like the noise behind the wall and
mm,
everything's like outside of the frame,
mm,
but you can totally tell how this family like benefits and they owe everything to like the fucked up shit that they're doing to these people and like how inhumane they are, and the more you stick with them the more you hate them. It's very experimental filmmaking where it's like you never actually see it,
mm,
you just always like know it's there, and I think that's like a very like unique take on it. And also it makes me think of like what are we benefiting from as a society that we don't like, that we just ignore, that we don't see, like
mm,
just like shit that's made for us, or like food that gets exported here, like
mm.
I don't know, I just think those like I said, like it poses a question and it doesn't answer it, and I like that a lot.
Yeah, it sounds really good. I haven't seen it, but I want to see it. Yeah, like out of all of my top five movies, the only one that I would buy on like a Blu-ray is Oppenheimer.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I don't really have any honorable mentions because I don't really like care really about it, like those other movies. But yeah.
Yeah. Let's see, The Killer. That would definitely be an honorable mention for me. I really enjoyed that. I also saw that in theaters.
Well, that's our list for the top five movies of 2023. What were your top five movies? Uh, did we miss any? Let us know in the comments below and make sure to like and subscribe and hit the bell for notifications.